these prescriptions can be submitted as objective medical evidence that will definitely help their claim in the long run. So if you are a new claimant, or if you are wanting to get Social Security disability benefits and you have this prescription, please make sure to let us know or let your attorney know about it.
Good morning, Rose.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining me. I know how busy you are, and I really, really, really appreciate your time today. Before we get started, I just want to kind of tell whoever's watching this or whoever will be listening to this how special you are to me, because you were the first person that I ever hired overseas. And I had a lot of reluctancy in, just hiring overseas and what that might look like and just all of that. And I was so lucky because my wife and business partner really encouraged me to meet with you. And so we did that Zoom interview, and it was one of the most amazing interviews and experiences that I could ever remember being in when interviewing someone. And I think I even told you, like, wow, like the answers were just so on the mark with the questions we were asking you. And what's even more amazing, because it's been over a year now, is not just the interview, but how impressive you have been with the firm since your time here. Your thoughtfulness, how caring you are for our clients, and how much you really just kind of either adopted the mission or it's always been in your heart in a way to serve people. And then your knowledge of Social Security rules and regulations is so impressive. And so I'm so grateful that of all the folks to have met first, that you are our first impression. And so, and that I will always, I even talk about it to this day to friends who ask me about it or whatnot. And I'll say, man, I'll tell you what, the first interview we did over Zoom, this woman just knocked my socks off with her answers and has continued to blow me away with the quality of work she does. So yeah, I just wanted to say that up front, that you were employee number one overseas. Oh, I appreciate that a lot. So thank you for being here. What I'd like to do is just have you introduce yourself kind of to folks out there, potential clients or current clients who may want to get to know you a little bit better. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are and how you got here with Evans Disability, and a little bit about your background.
Yeah, sure. So, my name is Mary Rose Gimena. I go by the name of Rose. I'm part of the Philippines team. As what Peter mentioned, I was the first one who was hired actually for the Philippines team. And I really appreciate the trust that you have given me as well and the team to work for you and Evans Disability. So prior to working with Evans Disability, I have worked in the BPO industry for 9 long years. I assisted a lot of accounts before, but it is where T-Mobile is when I grew so much in part of my career. So I started as a customer service representative. And right after training, though, I was promoted right away as a training assistant and then was promoted as a trainer and stayed as one for 5 years before I moved as a training supervisor and eventually became the training manager for our site here in the Philippines. And then I served T-Mobile as a training manager for a year. And then Evans Disability actually came over, and I just have to get this opportunity to be able to work directly with the team. It actually came as a surprise because one of my previous trainees, who became also my friend, recommended me to speak with Peter and Jamie regarding this opportunity. And again, it's my pleasure being able to work with you, and thank you for the trust.
Well, so the gratitude goes both ways, and so I'm grateful for that as well. And you work for some pretty major companies like T-Mobile, and I always say Rose is the manager of the manager of the managers of the managers at some of these major corporations who put you through quite a bit of training, and so we're grateful to have that customer service training to be able to, that you have in your background to transfer over here. What is your, maybe you can tell people what is your job title with the firm and sort of what it is that you do now for Evans Disability?
Yep. So when I started, I was assigned as the application specialist, but eventually moved to be part of the intake team. Right now, I'm doing the initial intake with our potential new claimants. So what we do is we screen the people who are asking for assistance in getting their Social Security disability claim started. So of course, we go through the intake questionnaire. We'll let them know what programs they qualify for, what's going to be the process of working with our firm, and of course, the time frame, and how are we going to get paid as well.
Right. So when talking to those folks, like potential clients, or even sometimes I know you talk to our current clients as well, what's the top, 1 to 3 questions you get from them, maybe the top 1 or 2 questions you get from them, frequently asked questions from potential clients or current clients?
Right. So one of the top questions I get talking to a new claimant is first, how are we going to get paid? Although it's part of the discussion that we will be talking to them. So most of them usually ask this because they do not really understand much. So I tell them we are getting paid contingent to them winning their claim. And what we normally get is 25% out of their total back pay or $7,200, whichever is less. The second question I get is how long it's going to take for them to get their claim approved. So on average, I tell them that it's going to take a year and a half to 2 years for the claim to be completed, or at least to get the claim into hearing and get to be in front of a judge. Although it is, case to case basis, it depends on how crucial the situation is and how the local Social Security office works in their area.
Yeah, no, that's great. So just to recap, it's contingent, meaning we don't get paid unless the client wins their case. And
Yes.
that's 25% of the retroactive benefits, but no more than 7,200. And I always give the example, at least in training and when I'm talking to clients, if someone wins $10,000 as their back pay, then our firm gets 2,500. And if they win $100,000 as their back pay, our firm would then get the $7,200 cap. And if you don't win, then we get paid nothing. And so, and I kind of like that because it puts us in the same boat as the client. Like we're all ships are sailing together here. And then you're absolutely right. About 2 years, maybe up to 3 years now, we're even seeing because post-pandemic. But it's so it depends on where you live in the country, like you said, what office you're in. And so that's really good information. Let me ask you this. As we wrap up here, what is the top 1, maybe, or 2 pieces of advice that you would give to someone who's maybe starting out their claim or who wants to know, hey, how do I win this?
Yeah. So of course, the main advice I can get is for them to get as much medical records as they can and to continuously get medical treatment. But based on my experience talking with potential new claimants, some of them actually do not give emphasis to the prescription for walking or assistive device or even the disabled parking permit because they felt like it's just going to be additional cost to them and it's not going to help them at all. But in reality, if they have filed Social Security disability claim, these prescriptions can be submitted as objective medical evidence that will definitely help their claim in the long run. So if you are a new claimant or if you are wanting to get Social Security disability benefits and you have this prescription, please make sure to let us know or let your attorney know about it so we can have it submitted as an evidence.
That's a great piece of advice. It's absolutely true. So what you're saying is if someone has a cane or a walker or a wheelchair, especially cane, you could actually buy a cane at kind of your local Walmart or your local grocery store in a lot of places, or just pick one up at your pharmacy and not really get a prescription for it. But if you can get a prescription for a cane from your doctor, like you said, that's very helpful evidence within Social Security. Because if you don't get a prescription and you just buy it over the counter, Social Security will just write it off as like, oh, he may or may not really need it. We don't know. So therefore, we don't need to count this as evidence to support his claim or her claim. Rose, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you so much. And keep up the great work.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Peter, for the time as well.
Thank you.